Well, Dylan, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Hi, all. See y'all.
So I guess the thing to lead with is you just went public. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know it was a hell of a journey for you. You went through a few things, which maybe we can talk about. But I figured I'd ask, because there's a lot of builders here, it's probably quite foreign for people here. What's it like being a public CEO? How's it different from running a startup? What do you think?
So far, it's basically exactly the same. Kind of a letdown answer. Some earnings prep, but otherwise, it's like, yes, we were very intensely focused before we went public. We are very intensely focused now, and yeah, the journey continues. So it's exciting to have a milestone to celebrate everyone who's contributed to Figma all along, everyone who's contributing today, but also, like, the most exciting stuff lies ahead.
What about all the restrictions and things of being a public person? Do you feel that, or you just pretend like you're still day one CEO?
I think we set it up so that we're able to move fast and not feel that every day.
Yeah.
It has been interesting though, just kind of watching the process unfold. You do this thing called a roadshow where you go meet lots of investors, and the thing that we did differently on that roadshow was that we insisted that we could demo to everyone. And apparently this is not something people usually do. Usually it's all about the metrics and let's give the financial overview. And yeah, we did that too. But we made sure that people knew what they're investing in. Seems obvious to me. Not sure why it's not obvious to everyone. But
and to be clear, this is a bunch of bankers, right? So they would have never seen Figma before, or
well, bankers, investors, and definitely the highlight of the roadshow for me was when one of the investors walked out of the presentation with us, and he goes and follows me along, and I thought he was going to say something about here's my card, whatever. Goes, hey, I'm convinced. I'm going to transition out of investing into design. I'm like, let's go. So that was the best part.
Nice, nice. Okay, so let's talk about Figma. You started just with a single, very well-made product, and now you're a suite of tools. How did you think about this? Obviously, going to a multi-product strategy, how was the tension? How did it change the company?
Yeah, so I guess if we just back out a sec, the sort of vision all along was, how do you go from idea in your head to something that's real? And if you're going to zero in on what we're doing today and what we've been doing, is idea to product. And I think Figma Design is part of that, but it's obviously not the whole thing. And also, even with products today like Figma Make, which we're very glad to partner with Supabase on, you can actually do the whole prototyping journey or go all the way to a real web application you publish online, and yet you also might want to break out parts of the process as well. So we've always thought of it as how do you not lean into tension here and make it so that the platform's more complicated, but instead actually remove tension, pull out workflows of Figma Design so that everything becomes more simple. I'll give an example. FigJam, we started to notice that there was behavior that had always existed, but it was starting to spike during COVID, where folks were basically diagramming, whiteboarding, brainstorming, and treating Figma Design like a space, bringing people together into it. And I remember one day Slack went down, and people started to go back and forth with messages in text boxes in Figma Design. It was that's not what we planned for this to be. It's interesting. And basically from there, we pulled out FigJam, made it its own product surface, and that gave us far more room to experiment in FigJam. And also Figma Slides, I think, is another good example here. One day we picked up our heads and we're like, okay, we know people are making slides in Figma Design, we do the same thing. How much does it happen? It's 5% of files that were being created were slides. Well, we can make a much better and more simple experience for slides, and so we pulled that out of Figma Design, introduced Figma Slides, and there's still a way to go into Figma Design. You can toggle design mode and then have all the power of Figma Design in there. And I think overall, it's you don't want to put all the whiteboarding, diagramming features, all the slides features in Figma Design. You want to make them their own surfaces, and the same for all the other stuff we've been pulling out as well.
I just discovered Slides actually all the way up until 3 minutes before the keynote this morning. So it's an incredibly easy product to use. So
thank you.
Congratulations, very well done. How was the tension when you built out the org? Because I'm sure going from single focus, and then the organization has to grow, and you've got to communicate kind of two roadmaps. Was there any tension there, or did it kind of happen quite organically?
I think that there's many areas where you start needing to have different roadmaps. So even as you go up market and you try to make it so you can build for larger customers, that's its own roadmap, as I'm sure you're well aware. As we started to build out more on the community side, that was on the roadmap. But definitely going from one product with Figma Design to FigJam, 2 products, it was a bigger change. And it wasn't just another roadmap. It was, we have to think about all these assumptions we've made all over the platform, how we sell, how we operate the business differently. Mm-hmm. And then going from 2 to N was less of a change than 1 to 2.
Yeah.
So it wasn't trivial. I definitely had to push it through. It was a debate at the time. Folks were, it was a controversial decision to go and start prioritizing workflows outside of Figma Design, but ultimately, I think it makes Figma Design better, and that helped us all see that.
Yeah, nice. You're quite product focused as a CEO, right? And how do you? Actually, it's quite interesting. Maybe how do you even tactically with I don't know if you can say how many people are in Figma now, but I imagine it's could feel compared to like a lot of founders in this room, a big, slow-moving beast, and you probably or like I wake up in the morning and I think we should do something, and I throw it on Slack and hope it gets done. That can't happen with an organization like yours, or
I think I just like at least 5 examples in this last week of me throwing something on a Slack and us doing it. But
does it happen?
It's like a daily thing, especially when it comes to quality. And that's just not just me; it's many people in the org that are going, "Hey, let's go move fast." But yeah, you have to always be designing the org for speed. And whenever you notice a bottleneck, you have to figure out how to remove that bottleneck. And if you're not intentional at it, then you will slow down. You're always fighting to remain fast.
How do you actually then drive some of these ideas that you have through the org? Maybe even tactically, like do you do product requirement documents, or like how do you make sure that something's going to eventually land in the customer's hands?
I think it's all about the same skills that you have as a small company, but making sure that you're actually doing them at scale. So for example, there's a lot of Figma makes floating around Figma. We're always trying to prototype and get aligned as quickly as possible. We're jumping into mocks and really trying to understand flows. And we're also always talking to customers. It's kind of a boring answer. Go prototype, go validate, go make sure you understand requirements. But yeah, the same thing at scale as it is when you're young.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about the products like Figma Make, and especially now, with the wave of AI, everyone's pretty interested. I'd be curious to get your take. What do you think is going to change, especially around design? Now that AI is out, how will it change how people design?
Well, first of all, I think it just changes the importance of design even more. In a world where products and software are faster and easier to build, I believe this for a decade, but I even believe it even more now, design is the differentiator. If you don't lean into design, craft, point of view, you're just not going to make it. And so I would highly encourage anyone who's got anything user-facing, and even those who don't, to be trying to figure out how do you bring on designers as some of your first hires? And then also, how do you elevate them? I think we're going to see a lot more designer founders, designer leaders. So I'm very excited for Figma's place, and how do we support that change and that transformation? The other thing that I think starts to happen is more people are coming into the design process. The faster it is to be consistent with the design system, and then to be able to use that to actually go create something doesn't look terribly terrible. It might not be the winning idea and execution, but at least you get your idea out there. How do you bring more of those ideas into the mindset of the group so that they can be discussed and you can collaborate and you can actually explore the option space that you're navigating through? And I think that ultimately, if you fast forward and AI is as powerful as we think it could be, then you'll be able to actually understand a lot of the intent through design. Already there's a communication loop that's going on between design and development. Design has an idea, they really are speccing it out partially, in a design file. But then the developer is going back and forth with the designer, trying to figure out, okay, what about this edge case? What about this edge case? What's it do in this state? And that's a process that I think you can do in conversation with a developer, but also in LLM. You can do it in conversation and actually be able to go infer a lot of intent based on previous examples. That's not to say that the developers are going to go away or something, but rather I think designers are going to do a lot more of the developer's job. Developers are going to do a lot more of the designer's job, and roles will blur in general. And all of this, I think, will elevate designers to make it so that they're able to be more strategic. It'll elevate developers to do what they're best at and to really think through strategic ways to actually go build things out. And all these loops will go faster. So I think it's going to be a pretty exciting future for how design changes with AI.
Do you see any tension, I guess, between designers or developers, or you just see them merging, and like how do you reach them? Is it through communities like Supabase to service developers, or you just see eventually a blurring of the lines between getting an idea out there and you can be designer, developer, doesn't matter?
Again, the expertise, I think, really matters in all these different areas. I mean, if you're going to be trying to handle a ton of throughput and load, like you need to actually be thinking through how are you going to do that. If we're going to go deep into database internals, you better bet we're going to be like thinking about that and sketching out architecture diagrams. We're not going to just go and vibe code it.
Yeah.
If we're trying to handle like immense scale and immense load and think through the right primitives and data model, that's not just going to be something that's random. And then on the front end side, I think that the more craft, the better in terms of how to differentiate your product long term. That's going to come from design, it's going to come from development. We've seen these roles be basically be blurring for 5, 10 years plus now. It's not just AI. People have been leveling up their skills all along. And so I think AI accelerates it further. That just means that more people can do more things, but you still need expertise.
100%. And I guess like that's for the people using AI. I'm quite curious, what we saw in Supabase was when we were first getting started, we ended up building kind of this UI, and we were trying to bridge the gap between people who had never heard of a database before and were hardcore. We wanted to make sure they could go kind of as deep as they wanted. And we ended up building a lot of UI elements to kind of guide them through the process. And over the past year, we're just slowly stripping out these things, and we're just adding kind of chat and SQL, and these are kind of the two modalities which you can reach. I'm curious, is there an analogy with your products? Are you seeing that your UI within Figma and the products that you're designing, are they changing as AI is coming along, or are you just trying to build different tools for different audiences?
It's kind of both. I mean, Figma Make is a great example of a tool we've built that lets you go from prompt to working app. And also, folks don't always want to do every edit through a prompt. We make it so you can copy your screen from Figma Make right into Figma Design, go tweak it, go change things up, and do that in a free-form way, because designers like to think in a more free-form fashion. But when you want to be structured or use prompts, you can go right back into Figma Make. We announced an alpha, it's closed unfortunately for now, of an ability to basically chat and prompt in the Figma Design world as well. And that has been really exciting to play with and use, and I'm really excited to get that out to more people. So yeah, I think that overall technology closes gaps, and AI is a way that we are closing gaps even faster, to your point. I also don't think the prompt is the end-all be-all interface. There's so much more that we're all going to invent beyond the prompt and beyond text-based prompts. So that's something that I'm really excited for. I saw you go like this in the audience, so I'm really curious to hear what you're doing.
So what about at scale? I think you have quite a strong culture of play, right? How do you do this? How do you maintain this culture within an organization of thousands of people?
I think it's just so important to get out of like a reactive mindset and into a proactive one. And ultimately it's a mix. It's like you're never gonna be 100% proactive, but how do you be at least more than half? You know, the more proactive you can be, the better. And when you are proactive, then you can actually, I think, have the headspace to be more playful, to have more fun, and that's where a bunch of the best ideas and work comes from. One way we do it, for example, is just dedicated maker weeks, where we take a week and we tell everyone in the company, you are free to do whatever you want as long as it benefits Figma in some way. And yeah, like you might be the person clearing out your email inbox. I've been that person once or twice, but it's much more exciting when you're able to tweak a process or really change the entire organizational mindset with some idea that you're able to get out there and to develop alongside others. And these maker weeks, hack weeks, you could call them, honestly, most of the things that I think have been most impactful in terms of new features, but also new products, have come out of them. We have no shortage of ideas. It's just like, how do we explore them and how do we create space for that? That's most important.
Does the entire company participate in the whole week?
Everyone's invited to.
Yeah.
Sometimes sales is trying to close that deal and they don't. But yeah, everyone's invited to participate.
That's pretty cool. That's very cool. How frequent do you run frequently?
We aim for twice a year. Some years it's once. But we also do hack days and also just like encourage people when they've got ideas to prototype and get them out there. And yeah, the more that we can like get folks to share that stuff, the better. And it's just such a creative group of people at Figma in general. I think partially it's because of the product we have. It attracts a very talented, creative group of folks to come join.
Yeah.
And so as long as we can get out of people's way to let them explore this stuff, we're able to see great things from people as long as they have the time and we're not getting in the way of that.
And then when they've built things, of course, like you've got a great tool for demonstrating things, but also you've got to try demo it to the whole org. So like for us, we're fully async, so everything's recorded, goes on Slack, you can watch it. Do you do some sort of events like this where people hang out and they do a demo, or how do you spread it?
We do a combination of things. We've got all hands and we show stuff there. We obviously use Slack and people post things, and then the more wild and exciting they are, the more they often will travel. But also for things like Maker Week or Hack Days, we'll do a culminating event where everyone's able to see at least a good portion of what's been made.
Nice. Okay, the other thing that I've heard is you like to hire many former founders, which we also have a strong culture of hiring former founders. One thing that I get asked all the time is, why would a founder want to work in a company when they've previously worked in their own startup? Mm-hmm. So what do you see with hiring former founders or them coming into the org, working? How do they make an impact?
Yeah, I think, look, there's generally at Figma a culture of just running through walls, and we try to make sure that we set things up so that people feel the maximum agency to go do that. Former founders have like a very ingrained habit of running through walls. And so I think that they like definitely set pace there sometimes. Yeah. But yeah, we've got a ton of former founders at Figma. We also have a ton of people that are not founders, and all can be successful and all are. So it's very cool to see just what everyone does.
Yeah, we typically see they just take a lot of responsibility themselves, and we can generally give them free rein. I think we had Sugu here this morning, but we've got, I think, 30 of them in the company, and generally we carve off a huge portion. It's a huge relief to me as a founder as well, because I just know that they're going to look after things, and they've kind of got that day one mentality where they move super fast.
And you want, just in general, to instill ownership mindset in whoever's working on stuff. Yeah. But also I think judgment's so important. And so that's the number one thing that I'm always looking for is, okay, who in the org has great judgment, and how do we make sure that they have the chance to go make as much impact as possible?
And for that one, the kind of day one mindset of ship, get things out really fast. I think quite famously you took around 3.5 years to develop Figma. Why did that feel like the right move at the time?
Honestly, I would advise everyone to like not take that as a pattern to follow. And I tell people at Figma this all the time, like, how do we move faster? It was more that I didn't hire fast enough, and I was very slow to learn how to recruit. And we had just a problem that took a long time to solve. Figma design is not, even in its most basic form, it was not something that could be created overnight. And in contrast, other products like FigJam, Figma Make, we did get out quite quickly, but then we iterated a ton afterwards. And so the journey is not complete when you ship. But yeah, definitely don't follow our example there. And you were kind to mention just the timeline to release. That was to close beta. After that, we then took even more time to go charge. Charge right up front. See if someone wants this, like validate that rather than wait. Don't repeat our mistakes.
Why did it take so long? Was it because I know that you famously took a bet on web, and also I've read your blogs on CRDTs and everything. Is that the hard challenge, or what was it that was so hard at the start?
Well, actually, in the initial period, we didn't even have multiplayer. So that was something that came in our closed beta, not the open GA release rather than the closed beta release. Closed beta was December of 2015. GA was October 2016.
Yeah.
And yeah, we knew when we shipped that closed beta that we were going to do multiplayer because we were dogfooding everything. And as you dogfood it, if I load a page and then you go edit it and it force reloads my tab, like that sucks. It just breaks all the expectations you have for web-based software. So, at that point though, we were confident enough we had built something of value and we saw people using it. And it took a long time to get to that point. We kept putting it in front of folks and no one was using the thing. And then we'd ask them why, and sometimes they gave us very, very good feedback, like telling us, hey, I need these 3 features, and then I can start using it. Other times it was, I just don't trust it. And the more we sort of dove into, well, why don't you trust it, we didn't get any answers. Coincidentally, though, as soon as we redesigned it and made it just visually more appealing, everyone trusted it. And I think just maybe designers really care about how their tools look. And so our design before was just not as good.
I guess then the hard question is, could you have actually done it faster? You had to learn these lessons along the way. How could you have got Figma out any faster than you did?
I think, again, if we had recruited faster, it would have been built faster. That long tail of features would not have taken so long, and we would have been forced into understanding, okay, we got to redesign this, we got to build multiplayer. All that would have happened on a faster timeline.
So what was the mindset when you were a founder? Why did you not recruit people? You were scared that you'd have to employ people, or what was it?
I think it's just like if you don't know things are working yet, it's very scary to put your foot on the gas and say, we're going to go accelerate hiring and burn when you're not making any money and you don't have any signal yet that it's really, truly working. But in retrospect, the signal was there. Even in the earliest days of Figma, when we had not even a beta, it was closer to an alpha. Text took a long time to write in the tool. Incredible lag, horrible performance issues. I remember one user test, I came to the test with a bottle of wine because I knew it would take hours to complete, and it did. And the performance was so bad. The amazing designer on the other side of that test followed up the next morning after we drank a bottle of wine and sent me literally a 10-page document, maybe more, and it outlined, here's this wild roadmap that I think you guys could build, including multiplayer, design systems, and how that could be very powerful for workflows. That I think I could have seen then with my sort of perspective now as product market pull. The market was trying to pull the product out of us. We just weren't moving fast enough to respond, and we could have moved faster with more people.
Nice. Okay, we've got just over 5 minutes, so maybe we can switch to you. And you as a CEO, lots of CEOs in here, so maybe you can give a bit of a sense of the journey for yourself and how you changed throughout the journey and what helped you to grow. Yeah,
starting off, I had never managed before. I was like an intern turned CEO, because it just turns out you can call yourself a CEO. Maybe that resonates with some of you here. And I had all the things to learn, basically. What was comforting for me was the fact that if I had been any single role before, I still wouldn't have had the skills. So for example, if I had gone and been a software engineer and then a software engineering manager and then gone and started Figma as a CEO, there's a lot of other things I would have had to learn and I'd be going from zero on. And that helped me get through some of the imposter syndrome maybe. But it wasn't until I not only started to listen to people around me, our board, other CEOs that were kind enough to invest their time, their money in Figma, but also started to recruit really senior people to our team that I could learn from too in real time and watch how they operated, that I think I started to truly inflect and evolve. Plenty of hard conversations with the team along the way. People were not shy to tell me I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And
did you fire them, or?
No, I mean,
Okay.
like some of them left, but for the most part, these folks stuck around and really helped me grow.
Nice.
And their feedback was a gift, even if it was hard to take at the time.
Were there CEOs kind of just one stage ahead of you that you leaned on or that you looked up to?
Well, one in particular that was extremely helpful along the way and still is Jeff Weiner, former CEO of LinkedIn. He invested in our seed round before we really had our direction clearly defined. And yeah, I mean, his advice when we were 5 people was super helpful. His advice when we were 500, also super helpful. So some folks can map again to that various stages of the business, and it's not always so different to think about how to operate at scale versus thinking about how to operate as a small startup.
How do you, especially as a product CEO, how do you spend your time thinking about like how to grow the org and how to spend your time on the product? Like, do you literally split your day in two, or?
I think the ideal state is you've got focused time to deal with product stuff. Ideal state is not always the state.
Yeah.
And but when I can refactor my schedule to make it so that we've got dedicated time, that's the best. But yeah, I mean, right now it's pretty much every day I have something going on the product side, and in general, I'm always trying to figure out again how to be more proactive, how to push more on product, and to make sure the rest of the org is working so I can do that. But also hire the right people that can make the right calls without me in the room.
Nice. I also heard from a mutual friend, David, that I think he said that this is the hardest you've maybe ever been working on Figma, or that's what it felt like. How do you take time to, step away? What do you care about outside of Figma?
I mean, the obvious, friends, family, that's first always, and even before Figma. But I think also just leaning into curiosity is really important. We try to encourage everyone to do that at Figma, but one way I do that outside of work is just through investing. Getting the chance to partner with other new founders that are building stuff totally outside the Figma universe, and with that, hopefully catalyze new tech to enter the world. It's really important. Also for Figma, we invest too. Been really, really lucky and honored to get to invest in Supabase through Figma, and thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great. You're the only one who got to join this round.
We feel very fortunate.
Yeah,
so thank you.
It was great. Actually, yeah, if we hadn't met, I came, 3 months ago, and then we had to sit down and had a chat about what we were building together, and I was just so impressed that, the only one I wanted to make space for and dedicate time was you. So thank you very much for doing that. Okay, so the future of Figma, where are you going? What products do we need to know about, and where do you see the landscape shaping up?
The things that we've been very focused on recently are kind of to your previous question around the tension around designers and developers. It's like, okay, if designers are doing more of the development role, developers are doing more designer role, how does that all work together? And whether it's Figma Make or it's Figma's MCP, which I expect designers will be using plenty of too, or ways to be able to prompt and iterate in the Figma canvas, get ideas out. We're just trying to basically cover all that ground together and think about it as one connected system. And lean in hard on AI with third-party and first-party models. So yeah, it's exciting about all the stuff ahead, but lots to go build, and couldn't be more thrilled to be doing it.
Super exciting. Okay, well, it's really nice to hear about your journey. It's great that you could share all these lessons with the CEOs in the room, and thank you very much for making the time to be here.
Thank you for having me. Thanks all.